Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have these really fun fall cards to share with you, so let's jump right in. So I am going to create some slimline cards. I haven't made any of these in a while, and it took me a minute to remember how to cut the base, but because I'm using a smaller trimmer, I just cut 4 inches off of the card base, and then I scored at the 3.5 inch mark. So that gives me a 3.5 by 8.5 inch card when scored and folded. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. If you guys ever have any questions, leave them in the comments. I do respond to all the comments. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get back, but I do always answer the questions. So if you ever have any, please leave them for me. And I thought this card design was kind of different. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The pictures of these cards do not do them justice. They are stunning in person. So it is a bit of a bummer that, the glitter doesn't kind of come up from the mica sprays well in the pictures, but just keep in mind, if you're going to recreate these, they are even more stunning in actual, like in person. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to mark off a 1 inch from the score line, and I'm actually going to tear that. Don't ask me why. I've just had this thing with tearing recently, and I thought this would be kind of a fun design. So I've torn this in this like 1 inch marked area, and the 1 inch is just so that my sentiment has somewhere to sit ultimately. This leaves you an area you could stamp a sentiment if you wanted to. I'm going to do a fair amount of die cutting in this, but you could recreate this with stamped images if you wanted to. Now I'm going to create a vellum front to this card instead. So I'm going to cut this to the 3.5 as well. I'm actually going to take it down not even 1/8 of an inch, just to allow me room to actually have it adhere beside the score line instead of over top of it, so it's not trying to fold over. You can do the actual 3.5, but I find if you take just a smidge off, you're more likely to have a great fold, and it's not going to try to interfere with where your score line is. So keep that in mind if you do end up recreating this, and it's kind of just a fun thing to do. Now, I have to say, I forgot that my kittens like plasticky materials, and generally I leave the cards on my desk until I've recorded some reels, then I put them away, right? And then they go to the market, or they go to Pen Pals, or they go to Happy Mail, whatever. I forgot that my kittens love plasticky materials, so I came up the next day and one of the vellum fronts had been gnawed on. So it's all chewed up. It's not horrible. It's one corner, but I'm not going to, put that in my bins for the market that I have coming up pretty soon. So if you wouldn't mind a card that's a little bit gnawed on, I thought it would be fun to send it out to someone on my Happy Mail list. So I do have a link in the description that takes you over to signing up for my Happy Mail list if that's of interest to you. And leave me a comment in the description just saying that you'd like to receive one of my cards, or this card specifically. And I'll randomly choose a name off of the people who kind of, say that they're interested. But you need to be on my Happy Mail list, because there's no way for me to reach out to somebody through YouTube. So I'm going to take your YouTube name, I'm going to go over to the Happy Mail list, and I'm going to find the address, and then I'm going to send it to that person. And if I go over to the address or the Happy Mail list and I can't find you, I'm going to pick a different name. So make sure you are signed up to the Happy Mail list if you want a chance to receive this card in the mail. I think it's kind of a fun way to just send it to you guys, but keep in mind there is a little bit of damage on one corner. It's just some love being sent from my kittens. That's all. But yeah, so yeah, keep in mind, put that in your comments, and I will send one of these cards to one of you guys. And then we're going to jump into some watercolor cardstock that I have cut down to about A2 size. I think it's slightly larger. And I'm going to bring in a bunch of mica sprays. Now you could redo this. If you don't have mica sprays, you could use, regular sprays. You could flick inks. You could do smooshing. There's so many things you could do here. I love my sprays, so I try to bust them out whenever I can. And then for the colors that I used, I have Cocktail Party, Bubbling Cauldron, Hocus Pocus, Burning Ember, Jack-o'-lantern, and Frosted Juniper. And I will have all of those linked and listed down below, whatever is still available. The mica sprays are kind of a seasonal thing generally, so I think Tim Holtz did make them available, or Ranger did, to just purchase now, but sometimes, like, they did come out originally as seasonal products. So I will link anything I can. And of course, if I can't, I try to link you guys something that's similar to what's available, just in case you're interested. And of course, like I said, you can use stuff you have on hand. You could easily ink smush this background, just pick fall-esque colors, which is what I'm kind of aiming for here. And I just sprayed both, and I did use my Splat box and my Distress sprayer just to get some movement between the colors. And honestly, because this is a fall card, I wasn't worried about if two colors made some brown, because generally I do warn you, like, be careful. If you mix complementary colors, you can create shades of brown, but I wasn't really concerned about that with this because brown would be a very useful color for fall. So I really wasn't worried about it. But honestly, I didn't really have that problem anyway. Most of these colors, there's a little bit of brown between the orange and the purple, but I didn't really think it mattered. And honestly, you could just miss that area if you want to when we go to the die cutting, because I will select kind of my favorite multicolors in the background to cut with those leaves. So you can just, avoid any brown if you have any concerns that way. So just pick some colors you think will look fun together. And then now you're going to select where you want to cut and where you don't. And I did choose to use my heat tool to dry this. You could let it dry in the air dry. I get really impatient when I sit down to make a project because I record so many videos. I tend to sit down, make a project start to finish, and then, the next day I might make another one depending on how many videos I'm, need to make or how behind I am or what's going on. But you could walk away and let that dry. That's absolutely something you could do. And I'm going to bust out my Artsy Leaves dies. I believe you can still get these. Again, like I said, everything I'm using will be linked and listed down below. I was going to use my fragment leaves, but they're too long to fit on the front of the Slimline card, and I didn't want to have to cut them. I wanted it to look like fun leaves. So because of that, I opted with the Artsy leaves instead. But any leaves you have would be really fun. Ideally, they have some kind of stem, just because I'm going to use holographic cardstock for the stem, and it kind of creates this really fun shine. Like I said, these cards have a lot of shimmer and shine. You don't really get to see it all, sadly, in the pictures, but you should have seen it just there when I held up these cards, this watercolor paper, before I started die cutting it, and you saw all that shimmer and shine from the micas. So they are stunning. They are one of my favorite sprays. I am getting more and more into the spritz though. When I do next Monday's cards, you'll see I busted out a bunch of spritz in that one, and I thought that they turned out beautiful. So anything that gives me a shimmer and a shine, I'm there for it. But the Artsy leaves have these kind of funky stems, and it's just really fun. So there are 9 leaves in the collection of dies, and I wanted 10 because I wanted 5 per card. You could have more than that, absolutely. I opted for the 5 on each front. You could of course go, like I said, and add more than that. I just went with the 5, but yeah, you could really do anything you want here. I mean, if you don't have leaves, do flowers. You don't have flowers, do snowflakes. You don't have snowflakes, there's so many. Do balloons. Like, there's so many things you could do. It's just kind of popping out of that the torn edge of the card front. So there's so many things. Like, grab a cool die set you have on hand, and bust it out. Or if you don't have dies, use stamps and just fussy cut them. Like, there's multiple ways you could recreate this card design to make it your own with stuff that you have on hand if you're not looking to purchase anything else. You guys know, if you've been with me any length of time, I am a very, very big believer in using your stash and using it multiple times in multiple different ways, because I know how pricey crafty goodies are, especially, the good brand name ones. They can be fairly pricey. So I use my stuff vigorously, consistently, all the time. So hopefully that encourages you to do so as well. Bust out a die set you haven't used in a while, or, find some fun leaves. I mean, Tim Holtz has multiple leaf dies. So does Simon Says Stamp. So does, like, everybody does. Every brand that I can think of has some kind of cool leaves. So bust them out, give them some love, make a fun fall card. And and then, share it on social media so I can see it. Because I love to see when you guys are inspired by creations from me. It is one of my favorite things. I think it always touches my heart so much when someone leaves a comment and they're like, you inspired me to make this, or you inspired me to bust out this old set that I've had, or I've had this one set in my stash for a while and I've never used it, or that kind of stuff. Like, it's just, that's why I'm doing this. So it really, warms my heart when you guys leave me comments like that. Actually, any comment you guys leave me always makes me really happy, and I spend time, and that's why it takes me a bit to respond to them, because I like to sit down and read them and then give you a thoughtful response, especially if you've asked questions or you have, you need my help with something or anything like that. And if you're ever struggling with something, shoot me an email. If I don't respond, fairly, give me a week. If I don't respond fairly quickly, it's because it went to the junk folder. So then leave me a comment and let me know that you've sent me an email, and I will get back to you. But I try to make sure I catch them all, but that's one of those things. And my email is in the description of the videos always. And it's also on the contact me page of my YouTube channel. So you can reach out to me. I am, I'm happy to help with however I can. It means the world to me that you guys come and hang out with me. So please reach out to me if you need some help with it, or you have a question, or you just want to chat about crafty goodies. Go for it. I'm happy to do. So you saw me run all my holographic stems through my Xyron sticker maker. That's just an easier way to stick those little dudes. There's no right or wrong here, though. You can use glue. You can use double-sided tape if you had done that, beforehand. I generally forget to do that. And honestly, pulling the backing off of those tiny stems would have been irritating to me. So I prefer the Xyron sticker maker. And then I brought out the alphabet from the Tim Holtz Vault World Traveler. I love Tim Holtz fonts. I think that he has so many cool ones, and I thought this was really neat font. So I grabbed it, and I'm going to, of course, write Hello Fall. I am going to cut everything twice out of white cardstock, and then I'm going to cut it twice out of holographic cardstock, and then I'm going to layer them. It just helped my white letters kind of stand against the white background. It just gives them this like tiny shimmer. So you're going to see here, well, hopefully you can see here, it is kind of small. I am offsetting the holographic layer and the white layer just a little bit. So you're going to see that the holographic layer kind of pops out behind my white layer, and it just gives it a little something extra. If you don't have a metallic cardstock, you could skip this step, or you could use the leftovers from the leaves. You could do like a colored background if you wanted to do that. You could do a solid, you could leave it white and have it just be white on white, and it's kind of fun that way too. There is no wrong. Use what you have. I am a huge believer in using it. So give it some love, bust out some old goodies you haven't used in a while, and just play with them and have kind of a fun fall card design. And if you're interested, I always have my P.O. box listed in the description as well. So if you want to send a card my direction because you have nobody to send them to, I will happily receive one of your cards. I cycle them through my studio so I can look at them. So yeah, if you ever want to send a card my direction, feel free. I would love and enjoy receiving a card from you. And it's my birthday is coming up as well, so keep that in mind as well. If you're, have a bunch of birthday cards on hand and you want to send one my direction, my birthday is October 8th, so feel free to shoot one my direction if you want to. I would love that. And I do showcase the cards that I received to my P.O. box on my studio vlogs. I have not recorded a vlog in a little while. Between the reno and it was my husband's birthday, and we had some traveling to do, and it's been crazy. So vlogs will come back eventually, and that's just kind of a behind the scenes. I want to show you guys all of the changes that I made in my office, because we ripped up the hardwood. We had engineered hardwood. We ripped it up. We did new flooring, a vinyl plank. We painted the room. It used to be an ugly tan color that I wasn't really, a beigey tan color. I did a pink feature wall. Like I want to show you guys all the stuff that I've done in here. I haven't gotten there yet. It's on the list of things to do. I will share it. But that's generally what's in my studio vlogs. It's usually a kind of a behind the scenes. It shows me you guys like what's going on in my small business, stuff that I'm working on with my crafting, changes that I've had in my office, that kind of stuff. So, and I usually finish them out with showing off cards and whatnot that I've received to my P.O. box. So if you ever don't want me to showcase something, just write that in the card, because I do read them beforehand. So that's, I'm always very respectful of everybody. Your address is never shown, nothing like that. Just what you've made. Or sometimes, like, I had a wonderful subscriber send me a whole container of gilded Brutus Monroe embossing powder when I dropped mine a few videos ago and spilt like half of it on the floor. I was so bummed because it's my favorite. And she sent me a whole container in this like little zipper pouch. Like, yeah, you guys are amazing. I appreciate you so much. So if that was you, I have already said thank you. I did send you a card, but know that opening that was so heartwarming, and I greatly appreciated it. So thank you so much. And hopefully you've received the card that I sent back to you at this point. I never know how long stuff takes to go across the border, so it's always a bit interesting. But yeah, so know that I receive your guys' cards and whatever, and I greatly appreciate it. It warms my heart, and I hold on to them, and I admire them, and I, display them, and then I kind of cycle through so I can display different ones and whatnot. So I do greatly appreciate it. So you can see that I've lined up my sentiment. It's not really lined up. It's a bit janky. Honestly, it doesn't matter. On this card, that's where you can use the little bit of janky because it just looks cool with the torn edge and the tucked leaves. I did decide to untuck the top of the leaves that were right side up, though. You're not going to see it because I decided to do that like after I had done all the footage and all of everything. But I did the 2 leaves that are in the middle pointing the right direction. I've actually untucked the tip and have them sitting on top of the ripped card because I thought it looked kind of neat. But that is the cards I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you'll leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It is my dream to hit 20,000 this year. I've passed 15, which is pretty crazy, but that does mean I have a ways to go. So if you're not subscribed and you enjoy my content, please consider it. I would really appreciate that. And like I said, if you want the potential to receive one of these cards, leave that in your comment. Make sure you're on my Happy Mail list so that I can get that sent out. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.